Okay, let's talk a bit about Mason Mount. Manchester United losing the FA Cup final to Manchester City, and thoughts will naturally turn to how United improve for next season. talkSPORT understands that personal terms have been agreed between Mount and Man United, with the two clubs now in a talk over what the fee will be from Chelsea. Look, I think that there was a few United fans this week when we were doing our stuff on United Stand about they weren't happy with Mason Mount. They don't think it's the right signing. They think 50, 60 million pounds on a player like that's not right. He's a bit overrated. He's not what we need. My stance this week was that Erik Ten Hag is the manager. It's unusual for Manchester United to do business early. So therefore, Mason Mount is quite clearly a high priority signing for Erik Ten Hag, who after the season he's had, deserves to be backed with what he wants. So if Erik Ten Hag wants Mason Mount, that'll do for me. I like Mason Mount. I think he's had a dreadful season, but so's Kovacic, and he could be going to Man City, and I think he's a good player as well. Mason Mount won Chelsea Player of the Year 2 years in a row before this season. He's only 24 years of age. I think there's a really interesting player there who that Klopp wants, that apparently Arteta wants, and that Ten Hag wants. This is not like Christian Eriksen on a free from Brentford. There are big clubs that want Mason Mount, and Manchester United have obviously made the strongest play for him. I think if you were unsure about Mason Mount, today's game in the FA Cup final will show you why Ten Hag wants Mason Mount. Because Erik Ten Hag wants to play Casemiro, and he wants to play Bruno as the advanced, and he wants an attacking number 8 who is energetic and can basically create as well as pick up runners. Now, Christian Eriksen may well be able to create, but he's not quick. He doesn't pick up the runners, and he's not very tenacious. Mason Mount will do that. I think if you watch the game today and you were disappointed with Eriksen, like many of us were, that is where Mason Mount comes into the team. Mason Mount is far quicker, he's far more energetic, he's far more tenacious, he's really, really effective in the press. And whilst he's fell off a bit this season, he does have goals and assists in him. And Ten Hag obviously sees a player there that he can take up a level as well. I think Mason Mount's a really interesting player. And I think he's going to be one of those players that people might frown at, people might be uncertain of, but I actually think he'll be successful at Manchester United if they can get the deal over the line. And clearly, it's looking like it will happen because Mount, for whatever reason, is not happy with what's happened to him at Chelsea, and United have made their play for him. I think he's a good player. On other players, we've got to bring a striker in. Definitely need a striker in. There's plenty out there. I'd be letting people like Harry Maguire go, Scott McTominay, Fred, Dean Henderson. There's some money to be made there. But I think Man United need to bring in 4 or 5 players, 2 strikers, 2 midfielders, centre-back, and some sort of goalkeeper to compete with De Gea, certainly. And that would then be the next step for Manchester United. But overarching all of this is what's going to happen with the sale. We can't really move forward as a football club whilst the Glazers still have their hooks in. And that's the big problem with Man United at the moment, as we all know.